keep coming down.
Keep coming down, mate.
And we'll be the change that the world needs to see. We'll be the change that the world needs to see. We'll be the change that the world needs to see. We want climate justice now.
All right, people. Tuesday Brews Day. How you all brewing tonight? Welcome to the Brews at 10. On my left eye, I am your humble host, Lefty. A very warm welcome to everybody joining us on the stream. Solidarity, everybody. Morshi, first in the chat. Doc and Yori as well. Flo, good to see you. JK, also with us. Early entrance to the chat and to the stream, please make sure you've hit thumbs up as you arrive, please, people. Yeah, let's brew this thing. For once you're actually having a brew at 10 o'clock on the Brews at 10, Morshi. That's good to know, but whatever you choose to imbibe, thanks for joining us. JK, sorry to hear about that. It's a kind of a good news, bad news situation. But it's funny you should say that, actually. I was just watching a bit of a clip from one of the recent Your Party meetings in Wandsworth, I believe it was, which I'm led to believe has the shittest prison in Britain. We'll also be at the conference on the 29th, hopefully. Nothing confirmed as of yet. But yeah, hope you feel better soon, JK. When I said nothing confirmed about the Your Party conference, we still are going to be going. It's just whether that's going to be in a sort of press capacity or actually participating, because it's for anybody who doesn't know, it's a citizens assembly kind of format with sortition and all these other things. A lot more democratic. I won't go through the ins and outs of it, but as somebody who's also involved with the Humanity Project, which is citizens assembly based, I certainly do approve. More about your party to come up later though. We'll be touching on some UK politics. But just for now, before I do forget, check out the Crispin Flintoff show. That's formerly known as Not the Andrew Marr Show. That's the video I was referring to, recent upload from the Crispin Flintoff show. Bumped into Crispin in Trafalgar Square at the last Defend Our Juries protest as well. Had a bit of a chat with him. Yeah, it was nice to actually meet someone who I follow on YouTube. Have done for a while actually. Back when it was not the Andrew Marr Show, but then of course Andrew Marr buggered off to GB News, didn't he? GBBs, so. But yeah, great guy, Crispin, and great YouTuber as well. Always happy to give free plugs to fellow socialists and YouTubers. And speaking of which, Mobius joins us. For any fans of gardening, any horticultural enthusiasts watching, please do check out Mobius's YouTube. Could be the Mobius and Corbyn allotment experience soon. Who knows? Who knows? And I'm sure Corbyn will be lucky to share an allotment with you, Mobius. Carlos as well, of course, does feature in the video as well. I think Yori's probably seen the same video from that question though, very specific. Of course, can't forget Carlos, but his name isn't in the title of the show. That's for them to decide. Corbyn has a country to lead. Well, knock wood. Let's hope that he certainly has a massive input or influence to that. Okay, got into chattery and sidelining quite early on there. I've still not been through all of the procedures and setting the stall out and whatnot. I'll begin with, of course, credit to all of the members on the channel. A huge thank you and a shout out to all the members. You'll never be short of a shout out if you do choose to support the channel in that fashion. It's just 99p if you'd like to be on this ever-growing list. Thanks to everybody whose names you can see on your screen at the moment though. Do appreciate the support. As well as those who've bought coffees on the Buy Me a Coffee page. You can check out the link for that in the description of this stream or any other content on the channel. Speaking of which, I'm not sure if it's just a sort of algorithmic, it's hit an algorithmic blind spot or whatever. If you could all please check out the most recent upload on the channel as well concerning the upcoming climate war. That's just to sort of ease us into COP30 with a sense of optimism. I think the clue as to the amount of optimism might be in the title. But it's not so much about COP as Pete Hegseth's announcement the other day. Super chats are also open if you'd like to help support the channel in that fashion, and also super thanks if you're watching back later on. I appreciate the support. It's great to see our little community here growing, currently on 116 members out of the target we've set of 250. And I can see some regular contributors in the chat as well, so thank you very much to you all. I think that's all of the shilling, and well, it's genuine, it's not a shill. That's the stall, temporarily closed, I should say. That's enough capitalism for now. Capitalism, even. So just very quickly, as for what's coming up, yes, all of this BBC business, Trump threatening to sue the BBC, people stepping down, and so on and so forth, plus the reaction to it, which has over the last 48 hours or so been absolutely piss-boilingly awful, if I'm being frank. We're hearing absolute... I don't know how to describe it. Absolute manure, just the outpouring of manure coming from commentators, politicians, with regards to the view about where the BBC stands or doesn't stand politically. And if there's any bias, and seriously, to think that some of these people consider themselves experts or professionals is frankly beyond me. Frankly beyond me. And I don't have a master's or anything, people. Yes, I've been politically and sociologically academic, and have a personal vested interest in politics and so on and so forth, but these so-called, you know, this is where the actual term so-called experts has actual validation, is actually valid, I should say. Oh, these so-called experts, right? Well, what have vaccines ever done for anyone? That's not to offend anyone who's from the West Country before we start getting ranty emails. MIDI Doctors and Hedy join us in the chat. Great to see you both as well. Nice to see the chat room filling up. I think I've given most or all of you a nod so far before we crack on. Yes, also some really good news, a positive, really good positive story coming up concerning a fellow JSO activist, Marcus Decker, who was threatened with deportation after his infamous protest action with our friend Morgan Trowland. Apologies. Morgan Trowland and Marcus Decker on the QE2 bridge back in late 22. Some other UK bits and pieces as well, just to sort of circle round to what we'll be kicking off with as well. Lisa Nandy has now come into this BBC discussion as you know, Secretary of State for Culture, so on and so forth. I'm just absolutely sick of the bastard sight of her recently. She just won't get out of the news. It's for a different reason this time, but suffice to say, it's getting my goat and grinding my gears, people. What the fuck? She just won't go away. Oh yes, JK will be going into all of that. Yeah. Got a couple of examples and a few other exhibits of evidence that would accurately describe the state of affairs at the British Broadcasting Corporation. Good old Auntie Beeb. Doc Davies, no, certainly not. I'd rather cut my fucking balls off with a rusty blade. Anyway, should we crack on with the opening comedy clip? He rhetorically asks because that is what has to come next in the schedule. Should we start with the ending, the outro, just for a change? Or just to confuse anybody who's starting already. Only just starting, I should say. 15 minutes, that was a quick live stream. So, which one was I going to do first? Yeah, we're going to go with Matt Green, who I've featured recently, and quite a few times actually. But I really do like him, and anybody who doesn't know him should definitely check him out and subscribe to his YouTube at Matt Green Comedy. And it also takes us into the opening story about this threat from Donald Trump to sue the BBC for $1 billion. Billion with a B. At this stage in the 21st century now, where 21st century it was millions and billions with the large quantities, now it's a billions, and not that multiple millions isn't a lot, of course, but billions, and now the T word getting thrown about ever more frequently. But $1 billion. And then on to the story itself, but great stuff from Matt Green, as always.
Following the scandal of the BBC editing a clip of Donald Trump to make it look like he was inciting an insurrection in a more concise way than he actually did, the President of the United States has announced that he's suing everybody in the United Kingdom for $1 trillion. Our toddlers, tantrums and trying it on correspondent Jonathan Goodenough has more. Yes, that's right, not content with threatening to sue the BBC, the President has gone further than ever before and threatened to sue anybody who's ever watched anything on the BBC, which basically means everybody in this country. Well, except teenagers, they're just on TikTok. They all watched CBeebies. Fair point. So what grounds is he citing? Well, Trump alleges that the British public have been insufficiently nice to him in his presidency and have made jokes about him in public and in private, which he doesn't think should be allowed, right? Further offences include getting a bad spray tan and then comparing yourself to him, painting anything orange and then laughing about it, anyone who's ever used the word Trump to mean fart, even before he was elected, playing golf at a course he doesn't own, using the words Jeffrey and Epstein in the same sentence, and anyone who's ever been involved in fox hunting. Well, that last one's a surprise. We suspect he might think it has something to do with Fox News. The statement then ends with a threat to everybody in the UK that if they don't immediately apologise, give him all of their money and sign a statement saying he's wonderful, he will impose tariffs on the country to make up the difference. But aren't tariffs basically paid by...
Sorry about the audio there, was a bit quiet at the beginning, I've just turned it up now. Sorry to interrupt the comedy clip. Yori Gibson, you think he looks like AI? That's another reason I've jumped in. I adore Matt Green, great comedian, love him to bits, although I can't say that I've ever seen him and Annalise Dodds in the same room. How's that one for you people? Annalise Dodds.
American consumers? Are you trying to get us into more trouble? Is this not another massive overreach from a deluded man who thinks he's king of the world or something? Well, that's certainly not how I would put it. Why not? Because I don't want to get sued. But just because you get sued doesn't mean you did anything wrong. Just like being impeached doesn't mean you were guilty of anything. Touché. So what's been the government's response? Keir Starmer said that he disagreed with Trump suing everybody, but did offer him another go around Windsor Castle in a golden carriage, if that would help. How about Nigel Farage? Well, he said that the British public have been biased against Donald Trump for too long and should apologise, but stopped short of agreeing that they should pay damages. Because that would include him too? Because that would include him too. So, what happens next? Actually, I'm just hearing that you're being sued by Donald Trump for that king of the world thing you said a minute ago. What? He's also suing everybody who's watching this because they didn't turn off or switch to GB News immediately. Right, well, Thank you, Jonathan. I'm not with him. Next up, as Rachel Reeves gives her strongest hint yet that taxes will rise in the budget, we ask, does it actually count as breaking a promise if nobody really believed you in the first place?
Matt Green, superb stuff there. Yeah, sorry for interrupting. I'll just enhance those 6 remaining tour dates for anybody who might be able to check them out. Let's see, where are they? All coming up very soon as well. So this Sunday, Cambridge, then the following Saturday, Southampton, Thursday 27th, Leeds, just over Pennines, Friday, Liverpool. I'm not doing an accent for everyone. Friday 28th, Liverpool. That's the day before the Your Party conference. If anybody wants to go a day early, maybe get a bed and breakfast, who knows? See the sights on Albert Docks. Saturday, coinciding with Your Party, if you can't make it and you are in Guildford, and check him out down there. And finally, finishing off in Brighton, soon to be a Green Party stronghold, I understand. Finishing at the Forge Comedy Club in Brighton, so do check out Matt Green there if you can. I was hoping to catch him at the Lowry. Was it the Lowry up here, or was it the Frog and Bucket? I might have got his date mixed up with Jonathan Pye's. It might have been the Frog and Bucket, but unfortunately that clashed with other things, so missed him that time around. Make sure you don't if you're in any of those areas. Right. That was a shame as well. I've seen Jonathan Pye live once. He actually performed at an event that I was sort of part of about 18 months ago, that Brian Eno helped to put on in Manchester. More comedy clips to come later on, but for now we'll get into articles and stories and whatnot. Yes, all this BBC business. Let's see what's happening. This is the piss-boiling section of the live stream. Just start off with an article. She's again. Every time you open a politics page, she's there with a bloody shite. Okay, so after repeatedly saying this isn't, for the government to comment on, this is, BBC editorial process, they've now come out and had a House of Commons session about it, directly contradicting those earlier statements. Of course, I'm sure we're all aware by now, but I will just state this pertains to a Panorama episode about the January 6th insurrection, in which 2 clips were sort of spliced to make it look as though they were part of the same segment of the speech, and sort of enhanced how Trump was instigating this insurrection, which did still happen, by the way. Let's all be perfectly clear about that. If it was Panorama putting things out of context, then the insurrection itself wouldn't have happened, I guess. It's just that the two statements came around 50 minutes apart in the hour-long speech, and there was no indication, given that they were from different parts of the speech whatsoever, just spliced together into apparently one sentence. I won't play the clip or the clips in question. So because of this, heads of BBC have stepped down, and Trump has said that unless there's a massive apology and the BBC just kisses arse, then he's going to sue them for $1 billion. Before we get, I'm going to scroll down the article just for the sake of not having Lisa Nandy on the screen before I just start to get through it. But I will say, just before I forget, do you honestly reckon if Donald Trump thought he had a chance of getting $1 billion, which is about £800 million, give or take, from the BBC, that he wouldn't take that opportunity? We're talking about Mr. Capitalism here. But instead, he'd be satisfied to have an apology. That tells me a couple of things. First of all, that he doesn't think it's likely that he'd win any sort of defamation or whatever it is case that he would throw at the BBC, misrepresentation, whatever it might be. But he still wants to get his apology, he still wants to come out as the winner, because, or appear to come out as the winner. Hoping that people will again forget that the insurrection still happened anyway, but that's the state of affairs. That's just the first thing that came into my mind when I heard about this the threat of $1 billion lawsuit. So Lisa Nandy says, sorry, it's not ableist. Lisa Nandy said they must fight to restore trust after this is where I'm going to start. Might get ranty here, people. After criticism that a Panorama documentary misled viewers by editing a speech by Donald Trump. And this is what really starts to get my hackles up, good people. The fact that it's a disgruntled Donald Trump that has led to these heads of the BBC, Tim Davie, stepping down, not the way that they've spread Israeli propaganda, not the clear bias reporting in the occupation of Gaza. If you want any more detail about my thoughts on that, please do check out a fairly recent video upload, Dear BBC, You Suck, which is about a recent email that My Left Eye sent to the state broadcaster about its reporting on Gaza and just how crap it is. I guess I'll cite a couple of examples that are in the video. For example, it's always Hamas-run health ministry and this and that, but they don't say US-backed Israel. They don't say illegal occupiers. This sort of language, the syntax, the rhetoric surrounding the whole thing. Another example, if you would care to open any BBC article that you like pertaining to Gaza, there will always be two specific sentences in it with reference to the events of October the 7th, 2023. So, regardless of whether the article is about October the 7th, 2023 or not, it will always be in there. That's the sort of, oh, just to remind you, this all started, but you know what I'm getting at. But we're all more than aware of all of that propaganda. So it's not that kind of thing. It's Donald Trump throwing his toys out of the pram. Wah wah, yes, Panorama called him out for being an insurrectionist, but yes, they did use a sketchy, dodgy edit, which they probably shouldn't have done. Tad shady. And now you have the BBC verifying itself with, for anybody who has seen the Ros Adkins BBC Verify segments. And now it's thrown open. This apparently has invited the right wing domestically and abroad, so it seems, to start a pile-on onto the BBC. Just before I skim through some more of this article as well, I do want to say that the BBC isn't without its faults. Obviously, I've done a recent video about my criticisms of the BBC's reporting on Gaza. However, as an institution, as a state broadcaster, I do fundamentally believe in their existence. It's not perfect. They do have absolutely top-notch quality content in other areas, especially documentaries, sports coverage for sports fans, and so on and so forth. Plus, they do get the news very quick. I often use BBC articles and live feeds myself on streams and videos, as you'll probably have noticed. But that doesn't mean that I'm not aware to the bias within the reporting, which is certainly leaning towards the right politically and towards Israel, where that occupation is concerned. The amount of times you'll see an interview and the interjections, whether it's Fiona Bruce on Question Time or Laura Kussenberg, whomever it may be, someone will make a perfectly legitimate criticism of Israel, point out something that's happened, and as though they've received an electric shock, they'll almost jump out of their seat with enthusiasm to point out, oh, but Israel would deny that, of course. How many times have we heard that one? If we had $1 every time we'd heard that, we could afford to feed Gaza 10 times over, I think. And this is from a news agency as well, remember, obviously it is a news agency in itself. They refer to other news agencies, Associated Press, Reuters and so on, but they are banned from entering Gaza. They know why they're banned from entering Gaza, because Israel are doing things, committing crimes that they don't want the world to see, and for it to be reported on by journalists. Yet still, they told you, and that's the most frustrating thing about it, when you hear Jeremy Bowen speaking about this, and he's seen it and he's commented about how they're not allowed to enter Gaza, a report from Gaza that is, but he knows what's going on. He's spent a lot of time there, as have other correspondents. And just how compromised do you have to be when it is literally your own reporters who are part of the story in a sort of meta sense? And especially with so many of the fellow journalists being killed in the conflict, you would think that they would highlight that, you would think that they would let the truth be heard. But they have this obsession with impartiality, but the truth itself is impartial. They spend too long worrying about not looking like favouring one side or the other, and failing in that they just get blindsided and fail to report the truth properly. And even if they do touch on it, it'll just be fleetingly mentioned, and then the next thing you know, it's back to the on October 7th, hummus. Aaron Gray, nice to see you in the chat. Hey up! Well, we were just talking about Leeds in Yorkshire. Well, it's there, and it's actually 760 million that Trump would be suing the BBC for, if you want to be specific, if you want to get into semantics there. Leaked internal BBC memo said the Panorama film misled viewers. We've just been over what happened there. It also accused BBC of issues within its Gaza coverage by BBC Arabic. Anti-Trump and anti-Israel bias. Anti-Trump and anti-Israel bias, he says there. This is because of, this would be on BBC Sounds, BBC Arabic, which is a very niche part of the BBC. They're not really referring to its main newsfeed content or things like this. They're probably referring to, in fact, I've heard them mention, it mostly pertains to repeated guest on one of the discussion programmes, and what they've said about Israel. The name escapes me, you'll have to forgive me. But anti-Israel, I mean, I won't go over all of that again, because that will be a tangent and a half. I'll get on to the anti-left bias, which is obviously inherent and as clear as day. And I'm not just saying that because I'm obviously on the other side of the spectrum. Genuinely, when it comes to report, if it was the other way around, let's say, oh, that's a good example. Someone, I think it, on social media, brought up the Today programme. Someone accused the Today programme, which is a Radio 4 show, BBC Radio 4 show. It's one of their, I think it's one of their early morning shows. Accusing that of being socialist, of being left-wing. Now, it's hosted by, amongst others, Nick Robinson, who I've featured a few times on the channel. I'm sure that you're all aware of him. Now, this is someone who's like a Tory for life. He was a member of so many Tory youth organisations. I don't even care to pretend to half remember them all. Suffice to know, remember that there are at least 4 of them that he was a member of during his youth. He also jumps on anything socialist. You can listen and watch the BBC for hours and hours and hours on end. I'll tell you this now, people. You will very, very rarely hear the S word. And I'm not talking about a certain banned BBC swear word that refers to fecal matter before certain hours of day. No, socialism. Socialism. They'll never say socialism. They will refer to socialism, socialists, in the third party, in the third person, I should say, as the left. That is all you'll get. Or they will say Jeremy Corbyn fans or followers of something that, or a specific politician. They'll not so much as they used to nowadays, but throughout the old Corbynism, which regular viewers will know. I particularly dislike that term. There's nothing specific about Jeremy Corbyn's politics, which is your bog standard democratic socialism, to warrant any kind of suffix. He's not Karl Marx or whatever. He's not created any... Yeah, he's an amazing community supporter as well for Islington North. He's well loved in his community, a hard-working politician, that's for sure. Lowest on the expenses claims list as well, of course, notorious for that. But just genuinely hard-working, decent person, democratic socialist and happens to have been one of the longest serving members of parliament since the early 80s now, so the Labour Party used to be full of lots of people like Jeremy Corbyn, let's put it that way. So where the Today programme's concerned, that's an absolute nonsense. Because if the BBC was socialist, was left-wing, we'd all be poring over it and saying, oh, you should check out this great, you know, whatever political show it is. No, it's always neoliberals slash, they'll call themselves centrists. You'll get about as much range as some of them will call themselves small c conservative, or others might say fiscally conservative, socially left-wing, or whatever they'll say, but there'll be a very small range. Centrism doesn't exist, of course. They are on the right, whether they liberals or far right, but they are on the right, that's for sure. And I'm trying to think of the most left-wing, at least fairly mainstream, fairly well-known UK BBC presenter off the top of my head, ruling out comedians, specifically people who host political shows, and you struggle to think of one. Let's have a look at another couple of examples. We all remember this one back in 2019. They doctored a picture of Jeremy Corbyn with Russian buildings in the background, the Kremlin, to make it look as though the story was about him being a Russian spy or a Czech spy. I can't remember what was going on at that specific time. But yeah, pure bullshit. And that's on Newsnight. That is on a flagship BBC politics show. And they've photoshopped the hat onto him and put the background in. He's to the left of Gordon Brown. He must be a hardened communist. But if you want the ultimate kicker, people, check this one out. And I wish I'd had this clip before I did make that Dear BBC, You Suck video. This is the chief political editor for the Middle East at the BBC, Rafi Berg. And I don't know if this is a recorded Zoom call or how it's come out into the public domain, but he's been caught in a discussion or interview, whichever it is, just passionately singing the praises of Mossad. And this is the chief Middle East political editor at the BBC. Just once again to remind you people, don't tell me that there isn't any bias in the BBC. Obviously there is. But it's pro-Israel, and it is leaning very clearly to the right. You might not believe this, but check it out, people. Talk about caught red-handed.
But you know, it's a wonderful thing to. I mean, how often do you get to be accepted into a circle of trust among the people who belonged to, some of who still work for the Mossad, and sit across the table from them and learn the most incredible stories of modus operandi, and tactics, and subterfuge. And I mean,
What? In what universe? On what? Sorry, I'm just quite. I've seen this a couple of times. I had to watch it the first time, obviously, and then remind myself that I'd seen and heard what I just saw and heard. But I'm still stultified by the fact that he thinks that this would be a normal conversation to have, maybe, I don't know, in a discussion or around a dinner table, or, you know, the good old tactics of good old Mossad. Fucking hell.
we don't have the time. I'd
What's that? What?
love to spend.
Sorry, his hand was in the way there. Red Sea what? What's this book he's got on the table? You're fucking what, mate? Red Sea. I can't make out the third word there. It appears to have a picture of some sort of building in front of it, which is obscuring it. If anybody knows that, I'd be interested to know what it is, because he's set that up. If you just have a look back at the yeah, that's the layout. It's no accident that that book is facing camera. It could be one that he's authored himself, I don't know. Just to remind you, this is Chief Political Middle East Editor, whichever way round the fucking words are. If it's Middle East, he does it at the BBC. You dig? Lighthouse? You think it says Lighthouse? Red Sea Lighthouse. No, that's, I don't know, that sounds like a mediocre indie band name, to be honest. Or is that comment about something else? I don't know. Red Sea Spies. Red Sea Spies. That's a good shout. Chris, sci-fi fan. Is that the same? Is that the same Chris? Is that Chris with a new name? Is that AKA Octo? Let us know in the chat. Could be Spies. It ends in an S. It looks like it starts... Honestly, I'm not joking, people. It might just be... my mind playing tricks on me. Red Sea Fox? Any advance on Red Sea Fox? Let's get in even closer there. Zooming and enhancing. Now all I can see is Red Sea Fox every time I read it. I've given myself bias. Like if you play a record backwards and you tell someone, first of all, or you can hear this message, the brain will automatically biasly search out that phrase. It's Red Sea something anyway. Let's not waste too much of the live stream trying to figure out what the book says. The book's not relevant. I don't think any of us are going to buy or read it, especially if it's by this shithouse who's got a massive, forgive the analogy, a massive stonking hard on for Mossad for some reason.
Another
Bibby, see.
half an hour talking about tremendous. Look, you know, Danny, shut your ears for the
Sales, super tiny. Yes, I think sale. That's a good show.
moment. But if I use the James Bond style,
I've gone on so long about that fucking book. I've missed about the last 30. I'm just going to skip back. Sorry, people. Very ad hoc stream here. Semi-improvised.
I'd love to spend another half an hour talking about tremendous. Look, Danny, shut your ears for the moment. But if I use the James Bond style methods which are employed,
He's comparing Mossad to James Bond. I don't fucking think so. James Bond is a British institution, you piece of shit. I don't think he should have anything to do with Mossad whatsoever and their treacherous, underhanded ways. Fucking exploding pages. I don't think you'd... Well... you wouldn't see... you won't see James Bond going around with a shitload of gadgets. Would you? No. Of course you would, obviously. No, that's a poor comparison to make. James Bond? Piss off.
cash hidden in chocolate boxes. I'm not sure if that was true or not, but it was told to me, or things like that, which really, as a Jewish person, and I admire.
Yeah, Mossad are just, bumbling around tuxedos and vodka martinis, shaken not stirred, and exotic locations. Mind games, but what the fuck is he talking about, James Bond? Piss off.
The state of Israel, then to know that these people carry out these kinds of fantastic operations. I mean, it's what makes you tremendously proud.
They are genociders. They are fucking genociders. Did you see that? I mentioned the thing with the pages very briefly there. That was not obviously with relation to Gaza, but one kid nearly got half of his face blown off because of that, and that's one such admirable sneaky deaky tactic, is it? It's just oh yeah, you really have to admire the technology and the methods that they explore and apply, as though hundreds of thousands of people aren't dying just in the last 2 years. And they want you to think that the BBC's reporting in the Middle East isn't biased. This is, once again, Rafi Berg. That's this shithouse's name. Strongly recommend you don't buy Red Sea Sales. It's just probably an insult to literature and reads like the ramblings of a drugged horse. So do we need any more proof? I don't think. We have to keep adding exhibit after exhibit. It's pretty clear by now which way the BBC leans. They do need to sort that out, but it certainly should remain as an institution. We don't want to be left with the British version of Fox News or more versions of GBB's Talk TV. These kind of, they call themselves discussion shows, a lot of them. They're not news, it's not journalism. It's a bunch of dickheads shouting the opinions which are on the whole devoid of fact, logic, reasoning, or any basic common political knowledge whatsoever. ITV are apparently being bought by Sky. Yeah. Other channels, it looks like, will soon get gobbled up. They're saying it's only a matter of time before smaller channels have to consolidate or get bought out by larger ones, because they just can't compete now that you have, we're talking commercially, things like Netflix, Amazon Prime, this kind of thing. It's a bit of a different ball game. But I think that'll only decrease quality. I can't can't really say there's. I don't really watch a lot of television, but anything on ITV really sticks out. Alright, people. Moving on now, but do share your thoughts with us in the comments if you're watching back later on about all of that business with the BBC. I'll just round off by saying, and reminding you, I don't think Trump's going to sue. It's all hyperbole. But the rights have declared open season on the BBC. We know that Farage would love to get rid of it. Can't let that happen. Got a good news story next, which I'm very pleased to share with you for anybody who hasn't heard. First of all, I'll just open up a bookmark. One moment. And then I've got a few clips. Yeah, anyone from the UK might remember, well, just around this time, 3 years ago, I think the original action took place on the 17th of October, if memory serves, so just over 3 years ago. Morgan Trowland and Marcus Decker scaled the QE2 bridge. It was closed for 2 days. This was as part of Just Stop Oil's main action phase at the time, something I was part of myself. Marcus is German born. After his and Morgan's arrest, they were remanded for a very long period of time. And then they were given what were, at the time, record sentences for protesters. 3 years for Marcus, 2.5 years, 20 months it was for Morgan Trowland. They were both released around 50% of the way into their terms, which would have been in 2024 last year, I believe. Since then, their record for incarceration was broken actually by co-JSO founder Roger Hallam, who was given a 5-year sentence for taking part in a Zoom talk, which you might all remember as well. The Whole Truth 5. Excuse me, but then following Marcus's release, there was a threat to deport him back to Germany, and there were huge campaigns, both whilst he was still in prison actually, and again I was part of those campaigns, marches through London and so on. Just go to this tweet here. This is a tweet from JSO. very, very pleased that he's won. Honestly, I can't tell you how happy I am for Marcus and Holly, who you can see there. So we're going to hear from Holly in a bit, just coming up. Let's just read through the tweets. After serving 16 months and being released in February 22 on tag and still having to report to the Home Office every day, Marcus, a German citizen, faced a second punishment, the threat of deportation that would have separated him from his partner and 2 stepchildren in the UK. After the hearing, Marcus said, "After an intense day of legal proceedings and an hour of harrowing cross-examination for both my partner Holly and me, I'm deeply relieved that we've won today. I feel this is a huge victory for the climate movement and for the laws protecting peaceful protest in this country as a whole." Yeah, great result. I first met Marcus a few weeks before he did the QE2 action on the sort of opening weekend of that action phase, the October/November action phase in London. Very enthusiastic protester, often found in song with a megaphone and without shoes. It was great to meet him, take part in protest and singing protest songs with him, learning some new ones as well. He's a great writer. That was Marcus in the opening clip for anybody who joined us at the top of the stream. When they were finally taken away in cherry pickers from the QE2, Marcus was singing the whole way down, and that was incredible. Everybody in JSO was tremendously proud of him and Morgan for that very brave action. I spoke to him on the phone a couple of times whilst he was in prison as well. Did an interview with him for another sort of project, but not one that I have at the moment. But I think I've played excerpts from that on the channel before. I just didn't have time to sort of trim that down, and I did actually have a bit of a documentary about one of the marches that we did, the Don't Deport Marcus March that we did April 2024. But again, didn't have time to sort of chop that up and whatnot before I came on the stream. But I do have a couple of clips that I want to share with you from the Don't Deport Marcus march and demonstration, which was very proud to be part of and help organise as well, with a lot of other incredible people as well from JSO, XR, a lot of other organisations in London. Who else do I have to give a shout out to? Hackney, XR, Haringey. You're going to hear from briefly from Holly, Marcus's partner, you can see there, as well as Robin, who was one of the speakers outside the Home Office, which is where the march finished. And there was also a fantastic song by Holly and her mum and another one of their friends as well. So, sorry, I think it was with her sister and her mum. I'm not sure if I've played that in the very early days of My Left Eye as well, so we'll take a look at that. And it was also great to see Marcus again for the first time since he got out in Parliament Square, actually, at one of the Defend Our Juries protests recently. And yeah, just to sort of turn, he had a hat on. I just, it was incredible. It was incredible to see him. Great guy, great guy. And yeah, 3 years, so a very long time for Marcus and Holly. Oh, they were joined by Chris Packham as well outside, just to show you that there. And for anybody who can't read the placard, it says, "In the name of science, as we stand on the precipice of climate breakdown, do not further punish Marcus, who tried to sound the alarm." And around the time we did the Don't Deport Marcus demonstration, Chris Packham actually did a talk with us, with JSO, that is. 2 back-to-back talks, even though he was particularly poorly on that particular day, which was incredible, and it was a packed turnout as well. Both of them were absolute sellouts. It was an incredible talk with other speakers and stuff as well. And he's a top guy. Alright, so apologies, I do have one of the speeches outside the Home Office, and just before we set off from the march, a little bit from Holly as well that you're about to see now. But like I said, the files for the march were just huge, and anyway, you'll enjoy the speech as well, and we're going to hear a great song as well, self-penned also, I believe.
So we're going to march to the Home Office, and when we get there I think there are going to be some other speeches, and I might speak again, and then Marcus is going to phone us. You
might hear, I think you'll hear me towards the end of these 2 clips here.
From prison, so that you can hear him speak, and I think he's got some things to say as well. So that's in 40 minutes. Can we get to the Home Office in 40 minutes? Yes. Yes?
Yes. Yes, we can.
As well. So that's in 40 minutes. Can we get to the Home Office in 40 minutes? Yes. Yes? Okay, let's get moving.
Well, fuck this shit. I'm standing up for my life and my kids' life.
Yeah!
I want to say a few words.
This is Robin, in case you couldn't tell from that excellent intro there. She's awesome.
The hostile environment and punishments now being meted out to Western activists engaged in non-violent direct action is something the Earth Protectors and Indigenous peoples of the Global South have been experiencing for centuries. In their stand to protect and preserve their homes and culture, the forest, rivers and seas, against the multinational corporations engaged in extracting all the wealth, leaving a degraded and polluted environment, thousands have been killed. Let's honour the Windrush generation, 75 years this weekend, who came at our government's request to build a war-torn Britain, and who decades later, many of whom faced the intolerable stress and years of struggles to overturn bogus deportation orders. Let's remember that their descendants still don't have a level playing field and have poorer health outcomes, educational opportunities and racist treatment at the self-defined racist, sexist, homophobic and misogynistic bunch called the Met Police.
Yeah.
Right.
Woo!
Let's not forget the dawn immigration raids of hostels housing migrants and the expulsion of people.
There's about 500 people on the march, I should have pointed out there, by the way, obviously pointing towards the speakers. I had to trim this down because I was in the background in some of the opening shots, and again I think you can hear me at the end, but just to explain the sort of context for the size of the audience, I think it does pan round towards to show the crowd at the end, and conveniently not catching me in the shot when I get back on the microphone. Who knows, I might have preemptively known that I'd be showing this on a faceless channel someday.
who, because of their sexuality, political or religious beliefs, will be harshly treated, imprisoned, even killed by the countries from which they fled. Let's not forget the British solution is to export our own asylum seekers to camps in Rwanda. In the past few days, what better proof that rich lives matter more when a military-style $1 million operation was launched. And yet, year after year, migrant dinghies are watched by European powers as they crumple, collapse and sink with the incalculable loss of life. The Mediterranean is a graveyard. And let's think, already we're hearing, it was the ego of the white man who thought he could go against nature, not even get his sub certified because he knew best, that got those poor lives lost. While we campaign for Marcus's deportation to be staved, let's use this opportunity to connect with these injustices, educate ourselves and elevate the voices of the unheard. We need to stop oil and we need system change. I urge all citizens of conscience to step up and choose a side. I choose life, I choose hope. Best of luck, Marcus.
Thanks very much, Robin.
Yes, I can second that, certainly, whoever said that at the end. Robin, awesome supporter of JSO. And again, everybody there, I'm sure, is relieved. Any fellow JSO supporters, I know some of my fellow JSO supporters do check out My Left Eye. I'm sure are equally relieved. This is fantastic news for a great activist, a great all-round person as well, Marcus Decker. And just to finish off there on that story, like I said, I've got an a cappella musical piece performed by Holly and other members of her family in a trio here. Really great stuff. This is a original song of theirs, I believe, called Restore. And really, for anyone who's into this sort of well, just hear it anyway, people.
Restore.
Thank you.
Hell yeah. How's about that, people? I do like that. I'll put that clip wasn't actually one of mine, but I will accredit it in the description. Wonderful harmonies there as well. Yeah, beautiful stuff. No, you're getting emotional. You're getting emotional. Thanks for the shout out about the chat getting stuck there. It does get a bit temperamental sometimes. Looks like it's running pretty okay now. Just checking if I've got any other yes. Back to a bit of UK news now. This is something that's been spoken about for quite a few years now. Essentially, the British government pulled the rug out from underneath women of a certain age who were approaching pension age, and then went ahead and raised it very significantly without really any prior notice whatsoever. Then led, in a lot of cases, to essentially these ladies' pensions being held to ransom. If you don't work for the rest of the time before you can retire, then you'll lose most or all of your pension that you've worked very hard for all your life. By the way, some of them managed to negotiate or meet halfway, but it was, of course, an absolute rip-off. And that's just for anybody who doesn't know the story, if you're not from the UK or whatnot. Is that lined up okay on the screen? Just make that a bit bigger. And you can see there a lot of women affected by this. 3.6 million women who were born in the 1950s, so they're all in their 70s or late 60s now, were not properly informed of the rise in state pension age to bring them in line with men. There was a 28-month delay in sending letters, but the government rejected any kind of financial payouts. A document was not shown to Liz Kendall, who was working pension secretary at the time of the decision, but had since come to light and needed to be considered, the government has now said. There's no guarantee any payout will be made, but campaigners said the move was a major step forward. I think where the upcoming budget's concerned, how bad we're expecting that to be, I don't think there's going to be any large amounts, if any, money thrown at the waspy women, unfortunately, because they do. So just a lot of those women died whilst they were working those extra years. They were looking forward to retiring and enjoying life, then all of a sudden told they had to work for years more, otherwise they'd lose it all. And some of them didn't even make it to retirement age. How's about that? And I'm sure that a lot of UK viewers and families will be affected by this. Last year, a parliamentary ombudsman recommended compensation of between £1,000 and £2,900 £50 for each of those affected, which is still quite an insult. It should be significantly higher than that. Ministers said there was no evidence of direct financial loss resulting from the government's decision, and that Labour did not believe paying a flat rate to all women. See, they can only monetise it, they can only quantify it with money. What about life, and how you spend your life, and how you enjoy the end of, well, I don't mean the end of life in that sense, but when you get towards the end of life, to be able to retire and enjoy yourself. Is there no accounting for that? That doesn't show up on the spreadsheets though, on balance sheets though, does it? And as well as, like I said, some of those women not making it to retirement age, some of them were already sort of pushed to the limit, working as long as they had done, and then had to do it for years longer. And a lot of them got conditions because of that stayed with them for the rest of their lives. Mobility issues, all sorts of things. It's appalling. Can you imagine, you know, those on the margins of it, on the very fine margins of it, who were maybe just weeks or days from retirement when this was announced? And they're like, oh, I'm 60 now, you know, I can retire. And so, and then, oh no, you're not. Oh no, you're not, darling. Appalling, appalling. They do deserve justice, and as I said, those years of their lives need accounting for just as much as any financial loss. So shout out to all the waspy women, if any of you are watching. Let's see what's happening in the chat, people. Capitalism is collapsing. It is, along with the climate, and it's going to take us all with it. So I agree with that. Aaron? Yori, didn't Maxwell steal all of his... Ghislaine Maxwell's father. Yeah. Robert Maxwell. I can't remember what... That was... last millennia. But did a runner with pensions, yeah, and then was he mysteriously killed on a yacht, an accident, whatever it was, whatever, air quote, put your air quotes wherever you like. Not quite a while back now, but the, oh, what's he called? Philip Green, was it? And the, not Debenhams, what's the sort of old chain? Was it C&A? And he did a similar thing, didn't he? Massive redundancies. He swanned off with hundreds of millions of pounds from a pension pot. And there you go, good night. Which, oh, pension pot, that rhymes with yacht, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah, just back on the pension thing, good point though, JK. The pension age is only ever increasing, isn't it? Today's new employees will never be allowed to retire, work till you die. And there will be capitalist terminology for this. And it will be along the lines of maximising provider efficiency, maximised chronological efficiency. That's their way of saying work till you die. 65, then they budget up to 66. Now it is for men in the UK. I'm not sure what it is exactly in the United States. It's as bad, if not worse. But then you look at a lot of other European countries, not just the amount of state pension when they actually do retire. They wanted to raise it by 1 year, was it? And it absolutely kicked off in France. That was just a couple of years ago, wasn't it? Do you remember that one? The streets of Paris and everywhere else were filled. There was mass outrage from the yellow vests as well, because apparently they take a lot less crap than we do here in the UK as workers. But yeah, that's the way that your mega corporations see it. They do not see you as a person. They see you, they objectify you as a unit, as a bio robot, a flesh robot. And as soon as the AI robots can keep up with you, guess where your job's going? But the benefits will go to profit, not towards people's lifestyles, which is where the real applications of artificial intelligence could be used positively. But it's all about the dollar, isn't it? The most worrying thing for me about artificial intelligence is, and you only have to think about this both historically and sociologically, as to what humankind has done with any new invention that has perhaps totally revolutionised either our lifestyles or something else, which is what I'm teasing at. Just wondering if anyone in the chat will get this first. But what is it, people, when something first comes along? What is it that humanity, well, governments, I guess, specifically Western governments, usually do with it? What do they do with the technology? They weaponize it. They weaponize it. They try and figure out how they can use it to kill people. Air quotes, in their interests. We look after our country and our interests, which are in the soil and minerals and oil. But that's what happens. And if history repeats, as it's done, nuclear weapons, for example, we have the internet because of one thing that led to an early form of the internet was warfare itself during the Vietnam War. As soon as geniuses learnt to split the atom, the first thing that governments jerked their, they gave themselves whiplash, turning their heads so quickly, rubbernecked around when they heard the words massive release of energy, such and such megatons. Well, how do we put it in a bomb? And I guess you have to concede that that's probably already happening, but should some development come along, some massive step in artificial intelligence, then it could run away to an unmitigated disaster, as we all know. So that's where my critique of artificial intelligence lies, I guess, on the whole. The utilisation of it for warfare and the utilisation of it for war over human comfort and making everybody's lives better. You know, a lot of industries could have 6-hour working days. We can include artificial intelligence in doing that or not. More time off for recreation, whatever. Germany want to go to 73 with the pension age. Is that right? For real? 73? What's the average life expectancy in Germany? 74 and a half? Yeah. That's live, you know. That's welcome to life. Work, 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 work. Die. You will spend 16 to 20 hours of the 24 working or sleeping. Let's not get off on a tangent about that, though. Do have something else that might hopefully raise a smile after that foreboding conversation just there. But who'd like to see Benjamin Netanyahu getting an absolute fucking grilling? Well, I've already seen this once and a bit before I uploaded it, and this is from an Israeli parliament session, so it's domestically. I should have to say before I play it, while it is good to see Netanyahu being absolutely laid into verbally, that is, here, and if you see Netanyahu, he looks as though he's aging by the hour. I'll point that out as well. But the lady who's initiating this absolute drubbing is still probably a Zionist. Although I can't say that I'm certain on a specific politics. But we have to bear in mind that this is the Israeli parliament is also on corruption charges and other such things. And obviously this genocide has a certain economic impact as well. But nonetheless, it's still, like I said, good to see someone actually telling it like it is to his face. So I thought I'd share this one with you. It's in Hebrew, but there are subtitles.
אני מאשימה אותך, בנימין נתניהו. מאשימה אותך בטבח ה7 באוקטובר. האסון הגדול ביותר שידעה המדינה קרה במשמרתך. גם אם אתה ישן עם מצפון נקי, לא נשכח לך, נזעק את ההפקרה, תקום ועדת חקירה ממלכתית. אני מאשימה אותך, בנימין נתניהו, במימון החמאס, בבניית הטרור ועצימת העיניים האיום הקיומי עלינו, בהפקרת ביטחון המדינה כמדיניות. ביטחון הוא לא אינסטרומנט פוליטי, שמעת? הוא מעל הכל. אני מאשימה אותך, נתניהו, הפכת את הציבור העובד והמשרת לחמורו של משיח. יצרת את ברית ההשתמטות והסיפוח. גבורת הלוחמים נעלמה מעיניך, אבל לא מעינינו. היא האור שאיתו נבנה מחדש. אני מאשימה אותך, נתניהו. השחיתות האישית שלך הפכה למכת מדינה. כל מושחת הופך שותף. ככל שיש לך תיק יותר גדול על מישהו, הוא יותר נוח לך. משפט של איש אחד לקח מדינה...
I like that one, the national plague. Just go back. She starts to really pour it on here, by the way. Become a national plague. I don't think you could really sum that up better. Is become an international plague. We have to be honest, he's certainly a plague on the Middle East. That's for sure. Could you imagine if Saddam Hussein had stood in front of the United Nations with a Greater Iraq plan that included annexing parts of Israel? Could you imagine what the uproar about that would have been? Like I said, Saddam Hussein was no saint, but he at least did well in keeping Al-Qaeda, for example, and ISIS at bay, who he absolutely loathed and detested. And now we've got a former head of an Al-Qaeda group meeting with Donald Trump in the White House, and he describes him as having a rough past. A rough past is how he puts it, but I'm getting sidetracked. National plague is certainly the best way to describe Benjamin Netanyahu. The sooner he's in The Hague or behind bars, the better. And if he doesn't at least find himself out of office, then what in the hell is going on?
מכת מדינה, כל מושחת הופך שותף. ככל שיש לך תיק יותר גדול על מישהו, הוא יותר נוח לך. משפט של איש אחד לקח מדינה שלמה כבת ערובה. אני מאשימה אותך, נתניהו, כי שכחת מה זה להיות יהודי. טראמפ החזיר חטופים במקומך, בזמן שאתה, בלי חשומה, התעסקת בלרתום אותו לחנינה. עשרות חטופים נרצחו ונהרגו.
No, in that, I don't know if she's referring to Zionism specifically there, but he and Zionism certainly does misrepresent the faith of Judaism 100%.
בשבי כשאתה לא קיימת את מצוות פדיון שבויים, חסר מצפון ובלי אלוהים. אני מאשימה אותך, נתניהו, הגזענות תמיד שירתה אותך. קראת אותנו מבפנים, הפכת חצי עם לאויב. אז נתניהו, אני המרוקאית, המסורתית ממגדל העמק אומרת לך, אנחנו נשבור את החומות שבנית, אנחנו ננקה את הרעל ששפכת פה 30 שנה, אנחנו נחזור להיות חברה מאוחדת. אני מאשימה אותך, נתניהו, רוצחים פה אזרחים כאילו הם אבק אדם, משילות עלק. כשהליכוד מתנהל כמו ארגון פשע, ארגוני הפשיעה מרימים ראש. אני מאשימה אותך, נתניהו, כן, בהקרבת החיים עצמם. אנשים גמורים תחת המציאות הכלכלית. לא יודעים איך להיכנס לסופר ולשלם חשבונות. הכל פה הפך יקר. רק החיים תחתיך הפכו לזולים עד כאב.
Yeah, and unless you're just absolutely devoid of empathy, or again, you're a Zionist ghoul, Israel's reputation at the moment is just, it's gone. Their name is mud, unless it's unless the USA or the UK are concerned. Whatever, but good to see him getting dished a bit of verbal though. Okay. Sorry if I've been a bit slow tonight, people. It's been a long day. I think another comedy clip's in order. And this one's from Michael Spicer. Check out Michael Spicer. New character as well. It's sort of not a bit of a play on the Room Next Door kind of style, but differently. It's really good.
Yeah.
Morning, Mike.
Who is it this morning?
David Lammy.
Oh, bollocks.
What was that?
I said bollocks.
A car will take you from his office to the studio.
What, I have to go to him?
Yes, he says he's very busy and can't come to you.
We're all busy. I present the most popular radio show in the UK, Tough Talk with Mike Chalk. What does he do all day? Apart from accidentally letting people out of prison and falling down the stairs.
Falling down the stairs?
Yeah, I know somebody who works at the Ministry of Justice. Apparently he takes a tumble about once a week.
Well, don't bring that up.
So if we're going over there, presumably he's got his colleagues furiously hanging up Union Jacks as we speak.
I doubt it. It's just an office.
So, Mr. Lammy, flags. Flags. Got a lot of flags up in your office. That's very good to see. They're in very good condition, aren't they? Like they've been bought this morning or something. Anyway, we've seen a lot of patriotic people this year putting up England flags everywhere and graffitiing red crosses on those little white roundabouts, which I must admit brings a tear to my eye every time I turn into the big Tesco's. What are your thoughts on that?
We cannot let any of our nation's flags be appropriated by hoodlums, hooligans, fascists. So I wear the flag very proudly.
Me too.
Most often when I'm supporting England.
Oh.
You know,
I can see you're very comfortable talking about this.
In a football game or cricket.
I've got a big flag that I wrap myself up in on St George's Day. Have you?
I remember the pride I felt. People like Daley Thompson, Linford Christie.
I don't wear anything when I'm inside my big flag either. I make sure I'm naked so that my flesh is against the material. You know, that's just how patriotic I am.
I see my Britishness, my Englishness.
What I do is I lie on the flag naked and then roll from one end of the flag to the other.
And I certainly want my children.
My cleaner caught me the last time I did it. That wasn't funny.
To feel as confident about their flag and their country.
She said I look like a giant Greggs sausage roll in a white paper bag. It's not very nice, is it? I had to let her go after that. She was rubbish anyway. You know, no matter how many times I asked her, she never folded the ends of the toilet rolls into little triangles, you know, like they do in hotels. I asked her for that. She never did it. David Lammy, thank you very much for talking to me. So that was my interview with David Lammy, and according to him, you can only wave the England flag now if you're cheering on Daley Thompson, apparently, which would be difficult to do now, wouldn't it, because he's 67. Presumably the only time Daley Thompson needs cheering on to do anything these days is when he's opening up a jar of pickles or setting up a direct debit or something. Are we really saying in 2026 that whenever we feel a surge of patriotism in this country, we can't paint a red cross on a
random white thing anymore. The Labour Party have lost the plot. When Keir Starmer stood up and said that we were in danger of becoming an island of strangers, I thought, finally, you know, this harmonica-voiced thumbhead has finally turned a corner. You know, now I can get behind him. And what does he go and do? He immediately apologises for hurting anyone's feelings and sends David Lammy out to say, sorry, you can't fly the flag to show pride in your country anymore, but you can slap it against a window the next time Harry Kane scores a hat-trick against a tiny country that has fewer people in it than my local B&M. It's woke gone woke-ageddon out there, people. Be safe.
When you have finished recording, you may hang up.
Hi, Sally. It's Mike. I just wanted to say... sorry, I forgot about your birthday. Apologies. Presumably you're out having a going out having a party or something, whatever. I just wanted to say that I'm sorry I forgot. Thanks for all your work today. And if sorry, just have a good time. If you're out, have a good time. Thanks. All right, bye.
Michael Spicer. Excellent. Thanks again to all the members on the channel. I appreciate what we're on now. 116 on the way to 250. Just once again, if you're watching back later on, super thanks are open. There's also a Buy Me a Coffee page. If you look at the description of the stream or any other content. Thanks for all your recent contributions. If you've renewed your own membership or gifted to others, that's a really essential part of getting us towards that target as well. Solidarity to all the members. And it's just 99 pence if you want to check out the perks. Hit the join button. It's just there. It's just on it. Go on. It's just there. Fraction of the price of a tasty hot beverage. Alas, we come towards the end of proceedings for this edition of the Brews at 10 on my left eye, but we queued up for a raid into No Justice. I'll join you over there for a short time, but do give us a shout out, hit thumbs up when we get over to join Helena, and subscribe of course if you're not already subscribed to No Justice at No Justice MTG. So yeah, do stick around people, more quality content to come after the outro. I'll be back with PMQs and Keith's catchphrases again tomorrow as we get into the latest round of the league. So do join me again, you know the time. It's the Brews at 10. There you go. A poet and you didn't know it. Solidarity, everybody. Free Palestine. And Yemen and Lebanon and Sudan, and power to the people. Oh, bit of an abrupt sense of the music. Alright, good night everyone.